Dramatic end to a nearly 5-month battle with Democrats. President Trump has been acquitted of all charges at his impeachment trial.
The Senate, having tried Donald John Trump, President of the United States, upon 2 articles of impeachment exhibited against him by the House of Representatives, and 2/3 of the senators present not having found him guilty of the charges contained therein, it is therefore ordered and adjudged that the said Donald John Trump be, and he is hereby, acquitted of the charges in said articles.
Meanwhile, Utah Senator Mitt Romney, the only Republican to vote to convict the president. Even after the acquittal, the political battle drags on, though. House Democrats now are saying that they are likely to subpoena former National Security Advisor John Bolton and move forward with investigations of the president. Joining me right now is Trump Organization Executive Vice President and President Trump's son, Eric Trump. Eric, it's great to see you.
Good to be with you, Maria.
Thank you so much for being here. So obviously, have you spoken with your father after the acquittal?
I have, and listen, obviously he's elated, but he always knew this was nonsense. And by the way, they always knew that they could never actually impeach my father. They need 66%, right? 66%
yeah.
in order. They knew that they were never going to get this. This was, how can you beat up on Trump? How can you throw a lot of stuff against a wall and hope something sticks? They knew they could never get him out, but they're trying to bloody him up, and they're trying to do this, obviously, because it's an election year. They don't have a candidate, Maria, that can win. They know they don't have a candidate that can beat him, and so let's try and impeach him, and let's, try and go after his family, and let's go after him, and let's make his life hell. That's what these people do. I mean, the swamp is deep, and he's clearing it out quickly, but the swamp is deep and it's nasty.
Yeah, I want to talk about that. And you mentioned the election. I mean, it's amazing to me that throughout this 5-month period, your father's ratings went up at the highest right now of his presidency, and the enormous amount of fundraising. So what do you think this 5-month period does? How does it change your father's 2020 campaign?
Well, I think they won it for him this week. I said that to my father. I think they won you election this week between the debacle in Iowa, between the amount of support that's out there for my father right now. I mean, America, and sometimes we get into these little clusters. We both live in New York, right? Outside of New York, you wouldn't believe the support there is for and by the way, even in New York, you wouldn't believe the support that there is for my father. I mean, people see through this nonsense. They see through the sham. You watched State of the Union the other night. I couldn't be more proud of my father because he did an unbelievable job, but you had all of them. They're slouched back in their seat. My father's talking about record low African-American unemployment. He's talking about environmental things that he wants to do. He's talking about how great the economy is, how great the military is. He's reuniting military families. And they're sitting back. They're not even clapping. The ones that are doing it sarcastically. People don't like this stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, America doesn't like this stuff, and they're walking him into re-election.
Well, it's about policy, right? Policy, but they don't like his personality, apparently. They just don't like him. But when I was in Davos, what I said on the air was that on off-the-record, one-on-one conversations that I had with CEOs, they were like, look, I don't know how he did it. I don't know. Some of them might have said, I don't love the approach. I don't like tweeting, but I got to give him credit. The policies are working. I want these policies to stay in place. Yeah. You have the critics of your father not touching policy. They're not talking about the economy.
He's a bad man. We think he did this, which he didn't do. That's what they're running. I mean, could you imagine if Bernie Sanders won this thing, right? Effectively, 160 million Americans lose private health care, maybe the only thing that actually works in our health care system. They put $30 trillion into the Green New Deal, which would bankrupt our country the next day. I mean, our markets, you know this better than I do, our markets would take a nosedive in this country. I mean, it would be a disaster.
But do you think that's where this is going, that the head-to-head contest in November will be President Trump versus Bernie Sanders? You know
what? I do. I think they're going very, very left as a party. I no longer think the Democratic Party is a party of JFK. I mean, this is a radical party with radical ideas. Again, when my father at the State of the Union is talking about record low unemployment for African Americans, they couldn't even stand up. They couldn't even clap. They couldn't even support the fact that we've got the greatest economy arguably on earth right now. There was nothing that they were willing to give the man credit for. And quite frankly, their whole message is un-American. It's unpatriotic. And people see that. I mean,
and then at the end of the State of the Union, Nancy Pelosi standing there ripping up your father's speech. That's a historical document.
Sure. Sure. You know what? Honestly, keep doing that, Nancy. She hasn't done herself any favors over the last 5 months, right? Because I think people read through. First of all, they're angry. They're smug. They're nasty in the way they go about things. They never smile. They never root for this nation. And then you sit up there and in front of a lot of people, right? I mean, you're supposed to be the Speaker of the House, right? Like to rip it up.
Unbelievable. I was shocked by that. And also, I just mentioned on the air, Nancy Pelosi's district is San Francisco. We were in San Francisco a couple of weeks ago, and the place is a mess. Tents, homeless tents everywhere. Homelessness in Los Angeles, the same thing. You're a New Yorker. I want to ask you what you think about New York, because I fear that New York is going the way of San Francisco because of this new bail reform that's come out, where you've got 3/4 of all inmates now out.
And what's Jerry Nadler doing about that? What's Nancy doing about San Francisco? What's Jerry Nadler doing about New York? You've got, as you said, tents all over the place. Homelessness is absolutely rampant in all these places.
And crime is up in the city.
They are, because they have bad policies. This whole bail reform, you have somebody who robs a bank, and they get out that night and they go rob a bank again because there's, I mean, can you imagine? And you see some of Giuliani's tweets. He goes, I am so sad to see what's happened to my city, which went from the safest city in the world.
He cleaned it up.
Safest city in the nation. Yeah. And it certainly wasn't that. And you see how it's regressing under just poor democratic leadership.
So you're a businessman here. I mean, let me ask you about the state of business in the face of all of this. 8 Trump hotels just given huge awards. We've got those here. Congratulations. That's wonderful news. We've got all of these awards getting the 2020 U.S. News and World Report Best Hotel Rankings, receiving either the silver or the gold badge this year as the best hotels in the U.S., Canada, and Europe. How's business today?
Listen, I couldn't be more proud. We have an unbelievable company. We have unbelievable hotels. All our hotels win absolutely every accolade, Forbes, this and that, and we are doing unbelievable. The commercial buildings are great. The golf courses are great. We have an unbelievable winery down in Charlottesville, Virginia, that's doing amazing. I could go on, but we're doing amazing.
Just to be clear, when your father became president, you said we're not going to do any international deals. I mean, you actually made that a statement.
Yeah. Very different than Hunter Biden, who started doing international deals with his father. But no, we turned off, just out of respect for the system. My father wanted to turn off all international deals. And I think that's right. Listen, how do you build the tallest building in Israel or something along those lines if you're trying to negotiate Middle East peace? I understand the optics to it, and we did that. But we have great assets here in the U.S. and quite frankly all over the world that we had long before, and they're doing phenomenally well. And we have the greatest real estate company there is.
And the demand looks good. I mean, we debate the economy, how strong it sustains given the coronavirus, et cetera. Things still look good.
Well, look at the jobs numbers yesterday. I mean, 291,000 new jobs when they were predicting 160,000 jobs. I mean, my father's doing everything that needs to be done. My biggest fear is honestly one of these wackos getting in, because they could destroy what he's created overnight with these incredibly ridiculous socialist policies.
Yeah.
And this country's doing amazing. I don't think this country's ever done better. And I think it's all due to smart thinking and pragmatic thinking and a businessman being in there. And I think we need more business people in the White House.
And you've got wages on the bottom really moving up. People don't talk about the fact that income inequality is actually narrowing. Real quick on Hunter Biden, Lindsey Graham told me last night Jim Risch is pushing back in terms of investigating the Bidens in the Foreign Affairs Committee. Lindsey Graham wants Hunter Biden to go testify. He wants the whistleblower. But he says it's a Foreign Affairs Committee thing where Jim Risch is the chairman.
You know, it's unequal justice. Go after Trump. Go after his kids. Go after his grandkids. Go after everybody he's ever met. But you know what? Hunter Biden's off limits when the guy got $1.5 billion from China, when he's getting paid more than board members of ExxonMobil. It's insane, and people see the injustice, and people are mad.
Yeah.
People are mad.
Eric, it's great to have you this morning.
It's great to be here.
Thank you so much. Eric Trump joining us there.